Okay, let's harvest those chives. I want to show you how simple it is to make a chive salt, and maybe you'll have some courage or motivation to use your herbs and preserve them this way as well. I don't think you're going to regret it. Hi, welcome to Scofield Farm. I'm Carice, and we live in Northern California, Zone 9B, where we can garden year-round. And that is such a blessing, and sometimes that is such a burden, because right in the middle of the fall season where it's just crazy, we are not wrapping up our garden. We are actually getting our garden transitioned to the next season, as we still have tomatoes producing better than they do the rest of the year. And we still have peppers. We finally have eggplant. Our beans are finally producing, but we have so much work and transition to do. It's a lot. I also this year signed up to be part of a craft fair where I am going to sell some different herb salts, pepper salts. I guess you'd call them seasoned salts. And I also am going to sell a little bit of my honey, and it's an extra amount of stuff to do during an already busy time of year. So my issue is trying to fit things in to times that work for me and not be too overwhelmed. I want to show you how the stuff we planted the other day looks. We did a ton of work and it's coming together so nicely. And then I also need to harvest some more chives, believe it or not. I've been dehydrating chives literally 24/7 for the last week and a half, two dehydrators running. And I have, I think, 3 or 4 more chive plants in this garden. I need to cut back, harvest. I really would like to split some and put them under my fruit trees as a fruit guild method. I love permaculture. I'm learning more and more about it, trying to incorporate it into our homestead, our little family farm. And anyway, going back to that, I want to make a chive salt. We love chives. We love dehydrated chives. I almost like the dried chives better than the fresh chives. The smell is just out of this world. I wish I had a way to share the smell on the screen for you. If there is ever that technology, you better believe I will be using it in my garden videos. But we're going to harvest some chives. I would love to take you along with me and show you exactly how I make herb salts, because they are so easy. It's a great way to preserve herbs. I don't know about you, but I grow a ton of herbs. In fact, I grow more herbs than I could ever possibly humanly eat. That is why I sell herbs locally. I gift herbs. I make gifts with herbs. I do everything I can to try to use these herbs that I love, and we grow them because they're great cost savings. One of the best ways you can save money in your garden is to grow herbs, because herbs are insanely expensive at the store if they're fresh, but they grow so well in a garden. They're also great method of permaculture. The bees and pollinators simply love herbs. They are sometimes the first things to bloom in your garden in the spring, which welcomes the pollinators in early. And that is what I'm always looking for, is more pollinators and ways to have pollen sources and nectar sources right here on my own property, because we keep backyard bees. We are pretty new at it. We just have 2 hives. This is our 2nd year, but we absolutely have fallen in love with it. Another reason to have herbs is because it is great to interplant in your garden. It helps pest prevention. I actually had someone ask me to do a series on how I deal with pests in my garden, and that will be coming up soon. Not today, but be watching for that, because I am going to make a video about that, because yeah, everybody deals with pests. It doesn't matter what zone you're in, what region you're in, what your garden is like. We all have the same issue of dealing with pests. Okay, let's harvest those chives. I want to show you how simple it is to make a chive salt, and maybe you'll have some courage or motivation to use your herbs and preserve them this way as well. I don't think you're going to regret it. Some of these pumpkins and squash that I had out here have a little bit of dew on them. They're kind of wet, and I didn't have a sprinkler. It must be dew. I need to take some of these in and just get them on my shelves inside. But it has been so busy, guys. I have literally been sticking gardening in all the little tiny times that I have left. Oh my, where are my clippers? Are any of you like me, where you set down your clippers and you can't find them anywhere? I have to search my garden paths. Both of them in a wheelbarrow. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna use these. I like these better. While we're over here, let me show you how the lettuce is doing. We planted 2 beds of lettuce. I have 2 different videos that you can watch about how we transformed these beds that were tomatoes into a lettuce bed, a fall winter garden bed, while we still let the tomatoes finish up. It is a way we do things in Northern California, Zone B, maximizing garden space, maximizing the veggies we get. If we pull the tomatoes out now, we would miss out on most of our harvest because it is so hot here in the summers. We have such hot summers. I am talking about dry heat. I am talking about 110 to 115, a good amount of July. Tomatoes don't like to set fruit above 90 degrees is what I've heard. Above 100, you see all the blossoms just falling off. So if we didn't overlap our garden seasons like I do in this bed, we probably wouldn't get tomatoes. That's just how it is in our area. So overlapping our tomatoes with our lettuce, with our herbs is the way to do it for us here. Now we have already had salads off of these lettuce heads. They are phenomenal. The mornings are cool and crisp, even though it's going to be 90 degrees today. It is 50 something, 59 outside right now. The way I harvest lettuce is I actually pull the outside leaves like this. We pull them around the plant. This will make this plant produce all fall and winter long. Lettuce grows from the middle of the plant. Right here in the middle is a new growth. So if you continually harvest from the outside, you can see some of my kids actually harvested and didn't pinch it all the way off. You will keep getting new lettuce from the middle over and over and over again until it either hits frost. If you're a very cold place, it can survive a light frost, but if you are in a like hard freeze place, you're gonna lose your lettuce. That will end it. Or if you're someplace like us, it could be heat that causes it to bolt. See right there, there's a teeny tiny new growth right there from the middle. I probably need to pinch off these partially used leaves that were already taken in for salad last night. We're growing butter crunch lettuce and Mayan jaguar lettuce. We originally got our Mayan jaguar seeds from Redwood Seeds. They are local to Shasta County, where we live in Northern California, but they are mostly, the reason I bought them is because they're good for resisting bolting in like hot times and summer times. But I'm growing them through the winter because I saved seeds from both of these types of lettuce from our garden. So these lettuce are like the children of the lettuce I grew last season. That is so phenomenal, so awesome. I love it. I love how you can make gardening pay for itself. What a great money saver when groceries are absolutely at insane prices. I don't have to buy any lettuce for the next 6 months, maybe more. This bed is looking just amazing. I love the color of Mayan jaguar. I am totally a sucker for anything that has red in it or purple in it. And so even though I have probably 14 other varieties of lettuce I want to grow, these are the ones right now. I'll probably start more in the winter or the spring of different varieties, but that is just so beautiful. And if you remember, we cut back our chives really, really far in a different video, and they are bouncing back. I am telling you, chives are one of those things that you cut them back and they just keep growing. I would like to half these chives, maybe just cut down the middle, put them under fruit trees and see if I can get them to not be so gigantic here, but also have them as a fruit guild. That is a goal of mine. We'll see if I get that done. We have so many fall cleanup projects on our homestead. You know, you just go down the list and see what happens. Okay, now that we found my garden shears, by the way, write in the comments if you have suggestions for garden clippers, shears that you really like. I am not satisfied with mine. I have tried several different kinds, picked them up local garden centers, whatnot. This one's not too bad. A little bit of rust, it's still sharp, but the one we got that was like really expensive last year, the blade chipped, it's all rusty. I just haven't settled on a shears or clippers that I really like. So if you would give me suggestions, I would look into those. I'd really appreciate it. Now I'm gonna get a bunch of chives, get back inside, work on school because I homeschool, and then hopefully I will get back to making our chive salt, and I'll bring you along with, because I want you to see how easy it is, and I wish I could have you taste it and smell it for reals. These candy cane zinnia are still just doing so amazing. I have them in the corner of this bed. They just basically cascaded out. They are growing. They dip down to the ground and are growing back up, and I honestly don't even mind that. I like their wild beauty. All right, guys, this is the huge bush that I need to somewhat cut back. I have this, oh gosh, look at this. I have this beautiful cilantro I didn't even notice, and it is wanting to bolt. Even though it's October, that is what our weather is like. Our weather is crazy. I'm gonna cut some of this and bring it inside, and we're gonna use it somehow, because who can waste wonderful, fresh garden cilantro? I know I cannot resist this stuff. All right, here we go. Let me see if I can get this cut back just a tiny bit. All right, so much of this undergrowth is kind of like dried out. I'm just gonna pull that out, and I'll use that as like a mulch. A grassy mulch under the peppers that remain. It is great to use things like herbs as mulches, both as living mulches, and this will break down really nice and make some good soil in this bed. Let's cut back this monster. It is huge. Oh, there's a garden spider in there. Don't want to disturb you. Oh, and slugs. Well, looky here. I do want to disturb you. Get out of my garden. Get out of my chives. Ooh. I don't want to cut this irrigation that somehow grew into the middle of my chives. I need to be careful. I have cut them before when I wasn't paying attention and harvesting something down low. Oh man, the slugs sure like these chives. That was the same in one of my other chives in a different bed. My son gathered a bunch of them, took them to the chickens as some organic treats. That's a good way of pest prevention, right? Pick off the pests and give them to the chickens. Is this enough for what we're doing? I might get one little more bunch. I mean, I have the dehydrators. I can always dehydrate more. What is having, you know, multiple gallons of dehydrated chives? If there ever was a food shortage, I think we could maybe live off chives. I'm kidding, of course. Not kidding about the amount of chives, just kidding about them sustaining a family of 9 very long. All right, there's another little bunch. I'm gonna take those in. Better put these someplace that I won't forget. I think we're gonna put them right here. And if I forget, you can remind me. All right, let me grab my chives, run in, do school. I've got Pilates today. I've got kid drop off. I've got so many things, but we are going to fit in these salts. I have got to do it. I've got to do it for the craft fair I signed up for. I've got to show you guys how to do it. Right, my unexpected cilantro and my fresh chives. Peas are doing pretty good. Look, oh my goodness, the potatoes have taken off. They liked the soil that we fed this bed with. Now these peas are doing good. See that growing there? This one got fried because it was just darn hot. I don't know. I have a couple extra over with my starts I haven't planted, so I'm going to replace some like that one. These are some new potatoes that came up. Funny story, I have a video of me and my girls planting out another round of potatoes. We planted one round in the spring we already harvested. We planted another round, a small round, the bigger plants that you see here, from some potatoes, from organic potatoes from a natural food store in town that I forgot about in the counter, in the cupboard. And then the third round, we ordered some more potatoes, planted them out, and they never came up. I tried to mulch them with alfalfa hay. I think that was a mistake. I think that was sprayed in GMO. I took the hay off. I ate the money. It stinks, but that's the way you learn in gardening. And then when we put down new soil and, you know, got this place ready for peas, I started having some of those potatoes that I planted several months ago finally start coming up. I don't get it, guys. Sometimes gardening is a mystery, but we live someplace that is warm enough in the winters that we can still grow potatoes. I'll probably put a heavy layer of wood chips down just to protect them, but we should have winter potatoes, which is awesome. It wasn't expected. It's not what I wanted, but it's what I want now. It works. Peas and potatoes, they grow well together. They play friends, they play nice. So we have peas and potatoes in this bed at the same time. And around here and watched many videos, you'll remember that I put in some bamboo and some of the stalks from sunflowers that I saved for these to trellis up. This one's doing great. This one looks like it's on its last leg. When it's 90 degrees in the fall, it is rough, guys. So I have a couple that I can replace. I don't have as many as many plants as the ones that died, but I'm not too worried about that because I think I said in our video when we planted, I planted like 45 peas out here. So we are not lacking. We are not lacking at all. I just want to encourage these things to go up my trellises. It is going to be so lovely when they are filled out. We just got to get past these few hot days left. They love cooler weather. We will someday have cooler weather. Let's just get them to survive until that day. I had a local friend saying how I had more than a green thumb. He said I had a green arm. As much as that's a compliment, I tried to tell him that I have killed more plants than anybody else I knew, but that's because I have grown more plants than anybody else. When you grow a lot of plants, you're going to have plants die. I have plants die. I overplanted the peas on purpose, fully knowing I would lose some. So when you see me look at some that died and not being too upset, it's because I planted so many. I knew ahead of time I would lose plants. That's part of gardening, guys. Part of gardening is failing. Part of gardening is plants dying. But if you keep trying and don't give up, you are going to have successes you would never have believed. You would never have imagined. It's worth it. Just make a count ahead of time that you will have losses and you won't be as disappointed. In awe of how these potatoes are doing. I did not honestly think that they would do so well. I didn't. I thought we'd get a few puny potatoes, but at least we wouldn't lose the bag. I planted them when it was so hot still, and this looks like it has promised to still be a very good harvest. And we still have little side shoot sunflowers showing their heads, providing food for our bees. Their days are numbered, but I will enjoy them while they're here. So because I anticipated that plant loss, because I thought some of those peas would die, I saved back a few peas to replace. I didn't save back as many as died, but I did save back a few, and I actually would recommend that when you are starting starts for your garden to do a couple extra, hold them back just in case your plants die. It has always caused me a lot of relief and less heartache when I've done it that way. There's a lot left to plant, but this will be another day because today is salt making day. All right, we have done most of our homeschooling stuff. We actually still have a little bit of reading left, but I wanted to get this salt going for you because I want to show you how easy it is. Now, I have told some of you who've been around a little bit longer that I think the first thing gardeners should grow are herbs. I have a video about it. I list all the reasons why herbs are a very, very wise thing to start with when you're gardening. And this is another reason why. There are so many ways to use herbs. They are wonderful, fresh. They're so expensive at the grocery store, but you can do a lot with them. They're very versatile in your cooking, in your kitchen. So I'm gonna show you how to make a chive salt. Now, I washed these chives. I already rinsed them and pulled out the ones that were drying out, put those in the compost pile. I'm going to cut these a little smaller. I'm going to put them into our food processor. And then I have this Himalayan pink salt that I ordered from Azure Standard. If you have never used Azure Standard, I have ordered from them for about 14 years. They've had a drop here back when it was like 4 or 5 of us and we couldn't even always get the minimum drop amount. Now we've got a lot of people. I think there's multiple drops in our area, but I love them. There's so many things I get from them. This is just one example. The Himalayan pink salts are really great. This is a medium crystal. I also have a little bit left of a coarse crystal. And then I actually have 40 pounds more of this salt in buckets in the other room because I ordered a lot. I am making them for a craft fair. I do it as gifts, and it's always great to have salt around, especially when it's so much cheaper to buy it in large quantities than even these 5-pound bags. Okay, so I'm going to do a ratio of about 1 to 1. I'm gonna do as many cups of the chives as I do of the salt, and we are going to see how that goes. I have these little trays that we're gonna dry it in. So you want to get all the moisture out of your salts before you put them in a container. Otherwise, they're gonna get cakey and even possibly mold with fresh ingredients like this. All right, get my kitchen shears, and let's see about how much this is. Okay, I am going to actually measure it in a mason jar because I was just thinking if I measure the herbs first, I'm gonna get this damp and that's not gonna be good for the salt. So I'm just gonna cut it. I think I have around 2 cups if I actually cut them, but it might be more, we'll see. I've got to show you the very cute little salt shakers that I got online. These are the cutest little shaker. These are the cutest little shakers. Let me show you. Okay, I got these online. See the size, about the size of my hand. The lids have different sizes, kind of like a Parmesan cheese shaker at a pizza parlor. So you can have a coarser salt and it can let out bigger chunks, or you can go down to real fine. A lot of people use these for herbs and stuff. I wanted to also use them as a salt shaker. So those were a fun find. It's not a perfect science. It doesn't need to be a perfect science. You know, making these little cooking videos is a little tricky for me because I grew up being taught to cook by a mom who didn't measure. Like obviously for a cake, you measure the flour, the eggs, the sugar, but in cooking, I was taught to cook just kind of by feel and taste. So when I'm trying to tell you an exact proportion, that's why I kind of paused. I learned to cook by, you know, doing it, trying it out, tweaking it here, adding this, taking this away. That's how I learned. Okay, we're gonna do about 3 cups. This mason jar is 3 cups full. So we're gonna do about 3 cups of the chives. You can do any herb you want. You could do a blend of herbs. You could do just like, you could do garlic. You could do celery. I'm gonna do an onion salt. Another thing I like to do is I like to do salts with peppers from my garden, and I'll have to do a video just about that one. You can look for that one because that has been a favorite. I made Scotch bonnet salt a few years back for my family, and my mom has already requested more. So I know that I'm going to have to at least make 1 batch of Scotch bonnet salt. All right, so we get this in here, and I see a couple dry ones still in there. That was 3 cups. So I'm gonna measure the salt. This is very coarse. You can see how coarse that one is. We will see how different the medium one is in just a second. I think there's only about a cup of this salt. Ooh. These bags are great because they're compostable. And the second one, this is a lot finer. I actually think it'll be fine for my salts, but I did like to have a big chunky piece once in a while the last time I made these. Okay, that's about a cup. I'll get 2 more. All right. It is so simple. Look how that's starting to turn green. It's so pretty. I don't want to over chop it because I like the coarse pieces in there and the variety of sizes. Just want to make sure all the chives were actually cut up. Oh, it smells so good. Oh my. Isn't that amazing? All right, so now I'm going to actually just put it in a layer in these little baking trays. And I could use my dehydrators, but my dehydrators are incredibly full right now with chives, ironically. I'm going to put these baking trays in the oven on very, very low. I also could just leave them on the counter, but because I have so many salts to do, I'm going to actually utilize my oven on low just for a little bit to get them to dry. These smell so fragrant. It really is that simple, and you can do this with any herb that you have in your garden, or any pepper, or celery, garlic, onions, so many things. Just gonna pop these in the oven, let them dry. I'm gonna check them at like a half hour. It might be an hour. I'll probably put it down in the notes below how long I decide to do it for. Because really, as I said, I cook by how things feel and turn out, and I tweak things as I go. But this is going to be so wonderful. Can you just imagine it in these little jars at a craft fair? What a fun stocking stuffer, or if you make those kind of gift baskets for people that you could just tuck it right in there. It's so fun. These are gonna go right in here. And we're good to go for now. 170 is the lowest my oven will go. So that's what I'm going to settle with. And this was truly a garden to table experience. I mean, you saw me go out there, get them straight from the garden, come right in here, and just a couple hours later make the salt. You can't really beat the freshness of flavor of something that is harvested and used right away. I hope this was inspiring to you. I hope it gave you ideas of maybe gifts to make for Christmas from your own garden or homestead. And I will see you soon. I will try to get you that tutorial of how to make a pepper salt, because that is what I'm really looking forward to. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful day.